Hi everyone, this is a video lecture for how to use QDA to do queries of your text after you have conducted your coding. So the reason we do the coding first is that we don't know what we're looking for, so we need to actually read documents to figure out what might be important and what are the words that are being used in the data set. So I've looked at 2 documents so far, and what I've found is that there seems to be a lot of use of the words identity. So if I wanted to go, instead of reading all of these documents in order to figure out all the mentions of identity, what I can do is do a retrieve and a text retrieval. So I search in documents, I change the search unit to sentences rather than paragraphs because I want to have each sentence in which the word identity is used. So I type in identity and I'm looking for whole words and I run a search. So I make this bigger, and as we can see, we have a lot of mentions of the term identity. So if we scroll down, we have, as I said, a lot of mentions of identity. This seems to be from my random selection of marketing academic papers. Identity seems to be a very important concept in these papers. So if I wanted to look at what's going on within each of these hits, I select the little document tab and it expands each search result so I can read about identity as it appears in each of the instances it appears. So because I've already done this before, I also saw that a lot of these were used in relation to other types of identity. So I can open up the coding table and I can add codes to each instance in which identity appears across all of these different search results. So I am going to call this hit here, this first one, I'm going to call it identity resources. And I'm going to create a parent node called identity, and I'm going to code it at Lime. Okay, identity 2, just to differentiate it from the other identity, and so on and so forth. So I can now compare more easily every time something says identity. So one of the ways you can code these findings that you have into existing codes that you might have is that I see this result down here where identity has been found. It's currently coded within co-creation, but human brand identity also seems to be relevant here. So I select it and I can drag it to this left hand side to human brand identity, and then I let go of the button and you'll see that human brand identity has appeared within the coding frame. So here is a way of, after you have identified what you are looking for within the data, you can run a retrieve text and then you open up the coding frame and you can recode or apply more specific codes to what you have found. So you might find that some of these relate to definitions. We found with identity that the identity itself is referred to in a number of different contexts, so it's not just identity. There are identity resources, we've got brand identity, human brand identity, and I haven't added the code, but I could have also added the code here of collective identity. So there's this idea that you can then within a concept create more specific detail, which can help with your analysis. So when you're finished labeling or exploring your query, you then synchronize with your main table, and you can save the table to a disk so you can look at it again later, or apply all changes. So we're going to apply 4 new changes, yes, which are saved. So now I can close this window down, and we can also save these search terms. So if we were to add new documents, we could to the project, you can then rerun the search query and update your analysis. But other than that, I am finished with this one. So go back to the main page. So there are other methods of analysis available, but because we have the free version, these are quite limited. So you can do a coding frequency under Analyze, and you can select the codes that you are interested in and conduct a search. And it gives you a count, the percentage of the codes, the cases or the documents it appears in, and the percentage of those cases. So you can get a table of this data. You can report this data as a chart. So if you select the columns that you're interested in, I'm interested in all of them, I can get a chart. Here is a word cloud. It's not very useful at this point because I don't have very many codes and I haven't done a lot of coding, but it exists. You can do distributions as a pie chart, a bar chart, and a column chart. So this is just a visual representation, which is very good for presentations and reporting of your results. So that is another method of analysis available to you within QDA Minor Lite. Again, there are additional things available, but you'd have to pay for them. So hopefully we have enough here to keep you going in terms of understanding the content of your academic literature and of your secondary sources.